Okay, people, Boruto Naruto Next Generations episode 212. Fam, talk about intense, talk about an episode in general, something that hands down you should definitely watch. If you don't even watch Boruto like that, you're a big Naruto fan, you've maybe seen little bits and pieces, you should check it out. It may get you into the series because, fam, it just gave a little bit of everything you need, minus maybe comedy, because wasn't nothing funny about this, but also, there was something huge that the anime added in that may be a spoiler for things to come, not only in the anime, but in the manga. It wasn't mentioned or referenced in the manga as well, so we are going to get into that. But this episode, Amado did the damn thing. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he's after, what he's trying to accomplish. We know a little bit of what he said in this episode, but very, very interesting guy to say the least, and things is going down. We got fights on the horizon getting started. We got Shikamaru getting out of character. Oh my god. Without further ado, people, we got to talk about some of this greatness, because this right here was absolute greatness. Let's do it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
So the episode pretty much begins with Amado and Koji talking about, yeah, they're leaving, they're defecting the Kara group after they've been there for a while. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm just started off like, hells yeah, because I read the manga for the stuff. Don't worry, I don't spoil in my anime episode reviews or anything like that, but I read the manga, so I'm just there fascinated, like, it's finally happening in the anime, hells yeah. And you got Delta approaching saying, oh no, I ain't looking a blind eye. I think y'all about to be traitors, y'all about to commit treason right now against Kara. And at first, because I forgot that particular scene, to be honest with you, I was like, wait a minute, what happens again? Is Koji about to blow her head off? Like, how does this thing go? And Amado says, yo, you don't even need to do nothing right now. And he just says sleep, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he said sleep, and boom, she just falls out right there onto the ground, and that just shows that he had a deadly power over pretty much all the members of Kara, possibly even including the dude next to him, because then Koji immediately thinks, that might be something that's in my system as well. So definitely is revving things up that Amado is a strong force, at the very least, amongst these cyborg beings, and also makes you wonder, well, so shit, is that the end of Delta? Like, yo, pretty much she kind of got her ass handed to her in Konoha, ran back home, and then fell out. Like, poor Delta, R.I.P. Delta, I guess, right? Or maybe not R.I.P., I don't know, S.I.P., sleep in peace, Delta, I don't know. And immediately, boom, I know you're probably thinking like, damn, Fenev, we early in the video, you're already about to give us the goods. Yes, because the big thing that came from this episode alone, well, many big things was, and we're going to talk about all of them, but one of the big things that, honestly, it spoils the manga, it spoils the anime, to a certain degree, I'd argue. Like, it's not like clear cut or anything like that, but it's definitely insight that was not in the manga, and I was shocked when I saw it in the anime, because Koji and Amado, they're talking about, you know, them leaving, and Koji questions Amado like, wait a minute, that's all you're taking? Because he just got like a big duffel bag strapped to his bag. And Amado's like, yeah, you know, I got the cells and something else, and yeah, you know, that's all I need. I'll use their equipment over there. And he says it's thanks to the research that Koji did in Konoha that he'll be able to continue on creating. So if he's talking about cells and parts and stuff like that, and using the equipment over there in Konoha, and then saying it's thanks to Koji's research that he did in Konoha that he's able to basically do what he needs to do when he gets over there, well, what is it for starters? If he is the research and development, right, he's the guy that basically is responsible for the creation of all the cyborgs over at Kara, he's probably going to go to Konoha and continue, because he goes to Konoha after that, obviously, and continue on creating more cyborgs, right? Depending on whatever his goal ultimately is, he's probably going to want to go create more cyborgs. And if he was talking to Koji about the research that Koji did in Konoha, you had to have watched last week's episode to understand what Koji was doing, what research was he doing over in Konoha, because he was looking up data of older shinobi that wasn't in Konoha's digital database. You had to get like scrolls and shit like that. You had to get physical data because he was looking at shinobi that were like classic shinobi. So potentially right here, instead of it being Edo Tensei, and I'm not knowing who, to be honest with you, we don't know who or anything like that, but more than likely Amado is going to be creating cyborgs of classic shinobi. Like if that was the research pretty much that Koji was doing, of getting shinobi that are older, that aren't in the database, because I believe again that shinobi before the war aren't categorized inside the digital base. Yeah, Amado is going to be creating possibly cyborgs of like who the hell knows who. It's again older shinobi. It could be a Donzo robot or some shit for all we know. But yo, oh my god, that is major. That is major because that wasn't said in the manga, and there's some stuff that is to come that is going to slightly hint at that, but not necessarily, because it was Koji that went himself and got that data. Just this was wow. But the episode continues on and we go to Ino Shikacho, and for a moment there again I was like, oh god, why are we looking at this right now? Like, big shit is happening. Why are we staring at this? We saw this enough last week. What's going on? But I was immediately proven wrong, because while they're there with Moegi goes off real quickly to get them some snacks because they're training, because they couldn't capture the intruder, which was Koji from last week's episode. So they're training there, and it ties in perfectly because in the manga, it was just boom, Amado shows up to Konoha and he runs into Ino Shikacho. This one, it kind of adds a little more context of, well, what was Shikacho doing there to begin with? Why is it even important to anything? They were on the heels of Koji last week. Now, boom, Amado is there and runs into them as they're training because they're upset over not being able to capture Koji. That is little instances like that the anime adds in, that it gives a little oomph. I can't think of the word right now, but it gives a little oomph of, okay, Shikacho being there is not worthless. And also throughout this episode, it was very, very apparent that Amado, whoever he is, he knows a lot about the Hidden Leaf. Whether it be that he was, doing research from afar and sending messengers to spy on the leaf, or whatever it may be, Amado knows a significant amount, because he knows, okay, that's Shikadai Nara, that's Moegi, I don't even know her last name, and I've been reviewing Naruto for like 10 years, I can't remember her last name. He knew Moegi's name, he knew everything, he knew that he needed to speak to Shikamaru. Whoever Amado is, he is very, very well informed on the leaf. And I noticed throughout the episode, whenever he would speak of like, so you're the person I've heard of. Oh, so this is the new Ino Shikacho I've heard of. So he's speaking as if his information that he has on these people is secondhand from somebody telling him, and it wasn't necessarily like research or anything like that. So again, it could be that he just had a whole bunch of spies coming in Konoha. Unlikely, because there wasn't anything like that added of like, hey, I had this. But it could very well be that he somehow, some way is connected to the Hidden Leaf, and I'm not hinting at any spoilers, because in the manga we still don't know who the fuck this motherfucker is. So just want to throw that in there. Don't worry, I got you covered, fam. You could be an anime only, trust in me. But quickly following that, Amado basically questions Shikadai like, yo, I don't got time for none of these games, I need to speak to your father right now. And Shikadai's like, yo, you a creep, you some old man that just shows up, like, what is going on here? Where's the white van at? We not playing this shit right now. Shikacho gonna bust your ass. And he uses his shadow jutsu to basically try and stop Amado in his tracks. But Amado is showcasing something that is an essential core to the Boruto story since early on in the beginning, technology, because something like, it looks like a wrench or some shit drops from his sleeve, and he does some sort of sound that basically pushes the shadow jutsu off of him onto Shikadai, and Shikadai can't move. And again, that's like, so maybe Amado, he can't like physically fight or anything like that, but he got capabilities of tools. Like, he used again a tool to do that, and ultimately he's able to put a bomb around Shikadai's neck. And oh my god, I'm curious if this has anything to do with, like, there was a story that I recently watched. There was like a whole documentary on Netflix, and I don't know when that Netflix documentary came out, but it was about a guy that they put a bomb around his neck and like sent him to the bank. Maybe you know if you're watching this, I don't know, but yeah, it kind of really hit close to home. I was like, oh shit, that's something that I just recently watched. I wonder if that Netflix documentary, that story in general, was out there. Maybe the author read about it and decided to do that. I mean, I don't know if that's the first instance of anybody putting a bomb around somebody's neck, but it kind of felt that way. way. It's just seeing that in general, it felt real. Like, I could imagine right now, I'm thinking, like, because Boruto, Naruto Next Generation, the big thing was they wanted to get more kids into the franchise, so that's why they did it with the Next Generation and shit like that. I'm wondering how little Misato, you know, over there in Japan is watching this episode and seeing Shikadai that they've been watching for about like 4 years now, which technically, let's just say they were 10 when they started Boruto, they're 14 now, so maybe they're a little bit older or whatever, but let's just say there was 6 when it started, they 10 now. Like, little Sato over there in Japan watching this shit and seeing Shikadai that they watched him eating subs on a bus with Boruto and shit like that, now having a bomb wrapped around his fucking neck. Like, I'd imagine that kid is like, Nani sore? Otosan, okasan. Shit is getting real, and I like it. Finally, we're getting here. It took a long time to get to this level of with the canon stuff being this real, but we here. But Moegi shows back up, puts him in basically like some rock lock, uses her jutsu essentially to use the ground to put him in a chokehold essentially, you know, wrap him up. And Sai and the rest of the Anbu show up, and basically Amado for a moment there looks like, oh shit, what you gonna do? But you can see that this man planned everything out right here, because he's like, oh yeah, you know, y'all could try doing this, but I guarantee you won't, because you see that right there? Explode, boom, has a bomb right there that he put on a tree that explodes the tree, and ultimately looks at them and he's like, I can do the same thing as Shikadai. In fact, if in 48 hours that ain't completely taken off, his head go boom. So immediately he's like using manipulation tactics, using all of that to get his way, because you gotta imagine that he might know that, okay, this is only going to work because these people are soft and they care about these kids. And I mean soft because this is the ninja world. Another, you know what I'm saying, we're in the bloody mist village, they ain't gonna give a fuck. Explode his head, we still killing your ass, you know what I'm saying? So he must know enough to know that they aren't going to allow this kid to get killed. They're gonna do whatever, because again, even he knows who the hell Shikamaru is. He's like, yo, bring me to Shikamaru. How do you know who Shikamaru is? But they're reluctant, and at first, you know, they got Ino to do the mind transfer so they could speak to him telepathically, and they agree, because especially Naruto, you know Naruto, he's like, nah, that ain't gonna happen, we ain't gonna let this kid die. So they bring him in, they tie him up to a chair, and I ain't gonna lie, boy, it was intense, and I am 1,000,000,000% on Shikamaru's side on how he was acting in that Hokage office, because I would have been acting probably even 10 times worse. Yes, you're the Hokage's advisor, yes, you're supposed to keep your cool, but fam, there's a bomb around your child neck, I don't give a fam, when it comes to your kids, you're not supposed to play at all. And I completely 1,000% agree with how Shikamaru was, and I sympathize with Shikamaru being there enraged, and he's throwing, you know, Amado against the wall, completely jumping out of character. And even Amado's like, so when it comes to your kid, you're a father, you're not really the advisor, the militant person. The militant within you must be so disgusted. And I'm just like, god damn, Amado, you playing a dangerous game. At any given moment, they could chop your head off and it'll be over. But something before that was that Amado was under the impression that Naruto was out of commission. When he was speaking to them telepathically before he got to the office, he was like, well, the Hokage got to be out of commission. Let me speak to the next up, Shikamaru. He must be in charge of things. And it was a shock to him. This guy that's calculated, that knows all of these things, knows their names, knows a lot of shit. He's shocked to know that Naruto is back in action like never before. And I think he even mentioned about the Nine Tails. So that was something that, why everything he knows a lot, but he was thrown off by Naruto still being there. I mean, we know he was obviously informed that, hey, Jigen went to the Leaf and went to go get Naruto and shit like that, but he was calculating on so many other things. To not have that down packed makes you wonder what threw off his calculations to not know that Naruto would be back in action and healed up thanks to the Nine Tails. And basically, after a lot of delegation and whatnot, the big point of it all is that Amado wants to defect to Konoha. He wants to leave Kara, leave all of that jazz, and come to Konoha. He knows he won't be safe going anywhere thanks to Jigen, because Jigen is going to track him down, which I ain't gonna lie, it would throw anybody for a loop. Like, wait a minute, so you came over here, you snuck over here, put a bomb around an innocent kid's neck, the advisor to the Hokage's son at that. Like, you put a bomb around his neck, basically holding him hostage. Also, you could come and live happily ever after with the Leaf and fight evil. Like, what? But basically, to show his, you know, worth and prove himself to a certain degree, he's like, yo, take these glasses off right here. And apparently he has the Google live stream glasses. He puts his glasses down and it starts streaming, having a live stream essentially of what's going on back at the Kara base because Koji has approached Jigen. Jigen is still there healing up. You can see he's touching his stomach, so he's not all the way 100%. I think they said even last episode he was only like 18% or 20%, some shit like that. So he's nowhere near 100% ready to go. And Koji and him, they start throwing blows. Koji throws some shuriken at him. He jumps out of the way, and then it looked for a moment like, oh shit, it's curtains. And I ain't gonna lie, that image is ingrained in my mind even from the manga, where Jigen shows up behind Koji and stabs through him, and you're like, whoa. But it was just thankfully a shadow clone. And before all of that, it was also interesting, and I love seeing Naruto's expression and reaction to all this stuff, where he's like, hey, isn't that the masked guy that Konohamaru fought back then, that Konohamaru said could use the Rasengan, which y'all know the Rasengan, it's only a handful of people like Naruto, Konohamaru, the fourth Hokage Minato, like very few people could use the Rasengan. Who is this guy and how is he able to use that? How does he even know about it to begin with? So Naruto's reluctance there and his, questioning was very interesting and fascinating. And the episode ends with Koji revealing to Jigen that right from the start, I was created in order to kill you. So essentially it was all a ruse from jump with Amado and Koji. They were meant to kill Jigen, which kind of makes me wonder, like, Amado built all these cyborgs, all these robots and everything, and first of all, the only one, according to Amado, that was a part of his team was Koji to begin with. Like, he's the only one that's been in on the secret, but also, like, you did a lot that kind of benefited Jigen, like, okay. But overall, honestly, phenomenal episode. Amazing episode. From the moment Amado showed up in Konoha, putting bombs around a kid's neck, going crazy, using demands. You got Jigen versus Koji. This episode was fantastic. Highly, highly recommend you watch it. Curious what you guys think. For starters, if, hypothetically speaking, the plans that Koji brought forth was of, like, DNA or data of some of the previous shinobi from the Leaf that he brought to Amado, which shinobi from the past do you think Amado is going to recreate to have these new cyborgs, if that's going to be the case? What do you think? How is it going to go down between the fight of Jigen versus Koji? Do you think Amado is truly on the up and up of trying to join Konoha and defect over there? Your thoughts on Kawaki's reaction to this, because I didn't really touch up on that, but Kawaki was shocked too. He's like, yo, that's Amado. Yes, that's the dude that basically experimented on me. He's even telling Katasuke, which, Katasuke, yo, you redeemed yourself. You weren't in control. They controlled you, mind controlled you to do what you did back in the Boruto, Naruto, the movie stuff. But fam, you're a little too excited about this creep scientist that came over here and has a kid by the neck that, oh, yo, if he joins, we'll be having a good time. Like, fam, don't get carried away. And your overall thoughts and expectations with Boruto, Naruto, Next Generations, episode 213 and beyond. I'm telling y'all, you should be watching Boruto right now. This is some of the best stuff, some of the most intense, exciting stuff, and I am all in right now. This shit is awesome. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm from that world, and as always, people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and yo, you should be watching Boruto right now. Koji versus Jigen. Amado putting bombs around his neck. Amado's shady nature. Watch this shit. It's hype. Have an awesome one.